Okay, hi Bobby, welcome back. So I think the last lecture you missed this demo where I had ripped open an iPhone and put the components out like this. So here I have placed before you a phone that has been opened but not dismantled, and also a phone that has been completely dismantled. So can you guess what these parts are?
So all these are from this cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe this is a camera?
Yeah, that must be easy. So
because yeah, it's from the shape.
Exactly.
Actually,
so
camera is visible.
That is the back camera, and if you remember, this was an 8 megapixel camera that we had seen the specification.
Yes. There must be a front camera also somewhere. Ah, here it is.
Exactly. So you see that this is your front camera, and that is of course lower resolution. So good going. Try your luck now.
What is this?
What do you think that is?
This one difficult to make out.
So just put it down. I'll give you a hint. You see, this is a tiny screw that I pulled out of this mobile, and you see that it sticks.
Okay.
So what do you think it is?
So it's a speaker.
Yes, of course. You need a magnet there.
Thank you for the hint.
Right, and therefore that is the speaker. Now,
okay. Then this is the microphone.
Absolutely there, right? And finally, what about this component here?
This one.
Can you keep it here and show me?
Okay, I can see the audio.
Yes, that's the audio 3.5 jack that you use.
And
you plug in your headphones.
Charging port also.
Yes, and this is the charging port, right? So of course, what I have not pulled out of the mobile is actually this motherboard here, which has a couple of integrated chips, right? And this is actually the heart of any mobile phone, right? And one interesting thing is, of course, what they have done in the mobile phone is to have one central unit like this, and all these components are essentially going to sit as peripherals in this particular mobile phone here, right? So that's how they have been able to integrate all of this into a single mobile phone, right? So before I go forward, I think it's also very important for us to remind ourselves that this was the speaker that we were talking about.
Correct.
And if you remember, this, you just told me that this is the speaker, right?
Yeah,
this is the 2-watt speaker, but this one is the 10-watt speaker.
Exactly.
Right? And of course, if you also remember, this one is the camera.
14 megapixel.
Yes, this was the 14 megapixel camera that we have here, right? And can I use these tweezers? I'll place it on top. So you can see that this entire camera is able to sit on this standalone camera so easily, right?
Cool.
So of course here you must notice that there is a sort of a connector here which actually connects to the motherboard that I was talking about, and that is what enables, so this is not just the camera. For example, this camera has a motherboard, has a processing unit inside, which also has its lenses and other things connecting to it. So it's not fair to say that this is just the camera.
Correct.
But it is actually this small, right? So one interesting question I do have is, if you just look at all these components here, right? If you look at these components here and you simply go by the area of, your microphone, the camera and speaker and all that, you just add all this area up, it does not come to actually the size of this.
It's not even half of the
It's
podium.
not even half of that, right? So in fact, if you look at this mobile, it has been integrated in a particular way, but actually the area is not even half of that of the mobile, right? So I have an interesting question for you, right? Tomorrow, do you think it will be possible to make a mobile which is half this size?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
But what do you think is the limiting factor?
Limiting factor in reducing the form factor.
Yes.
of course, if you need a large display, but that's not a limiting factor. It's a, yeah.
Right. So if you look at this, I'm showing you another mobile here,
Yeah.
right, which has a much larger screen. So you're right that, you know, the first initial thought process might be that the screen is actually the limiting factor, right?
That's only for a user experience.
Exactly. So, and proof of the pudding is in eating it, and you see that the older mobiles, you know, this good old Nokia mobile, which people used to use, has a screen which is half that of the mobile, right? So clearly the screen is not the limiting factor. You can make a screen which is much smaller.
True.
Right? And even if you look at your iWatches today, right, the watches, the screens are much smaller and people are reading messages out of that. So what do you think is the limiting factor?
I can open and see.
Sure.
So here it is.
Exactly. So you
The
see
battery.
that there is a huge battery that is sitting here,
Yes.
which is almost the length of this phone, right? It is not it doesn't occupy the entire area.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, all the assembly of these electronic components have been made around this battery.
To accommodate this guy.
Exactly. So in fact, I will also show you this in this other mobile. You will see that the battery here is larger than the screen.
Yeah.
Right? You look at the screen on this side, it's only about half the mobile, but the battery here occupies about 60% to 70% of the mobile area. And remember, this battery is occupying the entire width of this mobile. So clearly it is 60-70% of the area. So you can see that across mobiles, the battery is going to occupy about 60 to 70% of the floor plan.
Yeah.
Right? And why is that? Because essentially today a mobile phone is used not just for calling, right? In fact, that is one of the low energy consumption activities that we do. You can watch videos, you can take photographs, you can shoot videos and so on. So in order to accommodate all of this, you simply need a large enough battery.
Correct.
Right? So in the next lecture, what we are going to do is we are going to analyze batteries of different kinds and understand what the rating is and why the rating is being given in that particular way.
Great.
Yeah.